Side 1. The Clive W. Lacey Recording Studio of the Braille and Talking Book Library, Perkins School for the Blind, RCM 1059. Inauspicious Times by Appadurai Muthalingam. Copyright 2008 by Appadurai Muthalingam. Translated by Padma Narayanan. Read by Dan Wallace. This book contains 142 pages, on 4 sides. Approximate reading time, 5 hours, 15 minutes. This recording is tone-indexed. If you would like to skip over any remaining announcements or introductory material, place your cassette player in fast forward until a beep is heard. Stop at that point to locate the beginning of the book. Further beeps mark the beginning of stories. The Braille and Talking Book Library Annotation. Indian author Muthalingam explores some of life's little jokes and tragedies in this collection of stories about the human experience. An immigrant father in New England deals with his separation from his daughter. Maimoon, a Somali woman, comes to terms with being sold into a loveless marriage. An immigrant laborer in Canada resourcefully seeks ways to save money. Subtle, often funny stories to savor. From the book jacket. In this collection of delicately crafted, poignant, often charmingly funny stories, Appadurai Muthalingam summons the intimate realities of human relationships from the sweep of global forces. From Kandahar to Nairobi, from the hills of Pakistan to the freeways of the eastern seaboard, Muthalingam's characters grapple with loss, change, loyalty, and conscience. In Sudan, a young engineer from Jaffna confronts government authorities to help an elderly woman whose privations have touched him. In Afghanistan, a grieving old man, a young woman, and her lover are caught in a life-and-death predicament ruled by accident and fortune. In New England, a loving immigrant father reflects on his struggles in America and the growing gulf that separates him and his daughter. Muthalingam probes the sorrows and comical absurdities of human experience in these and other stories of wit, beauty, and invention. Indian Writing, the English imprint of New Horizon Media, is an attempt to showcase the depth and range of Indian language literature, a tribute to the many outstanding authors writing in Indian languages. While the main focus of Indian writing is on translation, it also offers original writing in English by Indian authors. Inauspicious Times, translated from Tamil by Padma Narayanan. About the author. Appadurai Muthalingam was born in Sri Lanka and moved to Canada in 2000. He began writing short stories in the 1960s and has since published more than 100 short stories in Tamil in 6 collections, 2 books of essays, and a collection of interviews. He has also edited a collection of reviews. His novel is currently under print. His stories and books have won many prizes, among them the Government of Sri Lanka's highest literary award, the Government of Tamil Nadu's Literary Award, the State Bank of India Prize, the Lily Diva Sigamani Award in Tamil Nadu, and the Thamilar Takavala Award in Canada. He spent many years working in various countries in Asia and Africa while on assignments with the World Bank and the United Nations. Many of his stories are based in the countries he has lived and worked in. His stories are noted for their understatement, reserve, and imagery, and focus on moments of small transformation. They do not attempt to directly build suspense or dramatic tension. Instead, they are grounded in realism, particularly in description and characterization. Muthalingam lives in Toronto with his wife and is actively involved in the Tamil Literary Garden, a non-profit organization dedicated to the international promotion of Tamil literature. About the translator. Padma Narayanan is a Chennai-based writer and translator. Her translations of short stories have been included in an anthology brought out by the British Council. Her translations include 2 novellas by the Tamil writer La Sa Ra, Katha, Ashes and Wisdom, by Indira Pathasarthi, India Writing. Introduction. For many years, I have been buying and planting hydrangeas in my garden. I buy plants with pink flowers and plant them in the garden, and the flowers promptly turn blue. In some instances, the blue flowers change into pink on their own without any help from me. The plant actually stays the same, and it is the acidity of the soil that changes the color into blue or pink. It took some years for me to realize this. Problems eventually get solved if you give them ample time. I have for some time considered translating some of my stories from Tamil into English. I made some initial attempts, but was not satisfied with the outcome. The stories were written in Tamil for a Tamil readership, and I saw no point in translating them. The ones I translated did not give me the same pleasure in English that they did in Tamil. Tamil is a difficult language to translate. It is an add-on language. By adding on letters to a single verb, you can create new words, resulting in whole new sentences. The sentence structure in Tamil is also opposite of that in English, and as such, some of the effects created when writing in Tamil are completely lost in the translation. In the Western world, books get translated into foreign languages almost as soon as they are released. It is only by these translations that people are able to share their literature with the outside world. There are thousands of books published in Tamil every year, but translations into English or other languages are few and far between. A few years ago, Padma Narayanan started translating some of my stories into English. I have written around 100 stories, and I had no idea how she selected the stories she translated. She did not select stories from my earliest period or from my latest. The selection was from the middle, around the 1990s, and they represented a cross-section of my entire creation. They are also reminiscent of the various countries I have worked in. As soon as I read Padma's translations, I knew that this was what I wanted. She had clearly overcome all the difficulties I had encountered. The thing I liked most about her translations was that they were not done word for word, nor sentence for sentence. Translations were effected in such a way that the story structure and continuity were maintained, while the essence of the stories was not lost. This is the result of her hard work. All I have done in this collection is to plant the seed. Whether it will turn pink or blue in the hands of the readers, I cannot say. Appadare Mutalingam, Toronto, July 2008. Acknowledgements. I would like to thank all those who have helped me put together this book of short stories. In particular, my grateful thanks to Padma Narayanan, who devoted a considerable part of her time to accomplish the translation of my stories in a manner that I was comfortable with. I owe thanks to V. Ram Narayan for the editorial work and dedication, and remember the many nights he worked on this project well past midnight. My sincere appreciation to Philip Loosemore for his valuable advice and help in editing. I would also like to thank Gomadi Krishnan for her prompt responsiveness, and the artist T. Kumaran, who did the cover design. I wish to express my gratitude to Badri Shishadri for his unwavering support throughout. I cannot forget to thank my family, my wife Ranjani, son Sanjayan, and daughter Vaidehi, for their continued faith in me, and Bala for his insightful comments. Finally, I would like to thank my granddaughter, Apsara, for her inspiration. Contents: The Camel, Side 1, Tone 1. Black Squirrel, Side 1, Tone 2. The Iguana, Side 1, Tone 3. Mother Earth, Side 2, Tone 1. Inauspicious Times, Side 2, Tone 2. The Maharaja's Train, Side 2, Tone 3. The Cotton Flower, Side 2, Tone 4. Re, side 2, tone 5. Butterfly, side 3, tone 1. Chance, side 3, tone 2. The Lime Tree, side 3, tone 3. Amma's Skirt, side 3, tone 4. The Lineage, side 4, tone 1. Duri, side 4, tone 2. Glossary. Alusu, gum-producing tree. Amanes, poetic genre with word amane at the end. Ani, third Tamil month. Anicham, delicate flower that wilts on smelling. Asokavanam, a grove in which Sita was kept prisoner by Ravana. Aviel, vegetable mix cooked with ground coconut. Chador, head cover worn by Muslim women. Chinnama, mother's younger sister. Ediya, a form of address used by an elder on a younger woman. Gat, a leaf that produces mild excitement and euphoria on chewing it. Hujra, traditional meeting place. Huya, mother. Idli, sambar, dosai, food made from dough and side dish. Ilupe, mahua tree. Girga, village council. Kamahu, acacia tree. Kekede, a sweet drink made from dried flowers. Kenana, a place in Sudan where sugar is produced. Kiluve, balsam tree. Kokan, a game played by children with small pebbles. Kualam, decorative designs drawn on floor. Kuhai, a shout of joy. Kurban, animal sacrifice. Kura, a type of tree. Mahan, friend, wife's brother or sister's husband. Maher, bride price paid by groom. Maniakar, village tax official. Makahindolam, a raga in Carnatic music. Musatai, a type of tree. Nabadun, village chief. Nandiyavatai, rose bay flower and plant. Panandai, ball-shaped edible made out of palmyra. Panayaram, fruit juice. Paryardam, celestial tree with flowers. Pashkana, a tree. Potu, a round mark on the forehead. Rahuhalam, inauspicious time. Rasam, a kind of soup in tamarind juice. Rishabha, bull as the mount of god Shiva, second of the 7 musical notes. Salvar, loose trouser-like garment. Samsam, holy water from Hajj. Sihakai, soap nut powder used to wash hair. Dedication. All dispersed people in search of a new beginning. Opening quote. Man won't let us alone. God won't let us alone. Narrator's note. This book contains the entire text of the print edition, except for advertisements. The Camel. Somalian women are unique. They will never change their ways, not even when the world is turned upside down. They have this unhurried walk, as they plant one foot firmly on the ground, then bring up the other foot in a leisurely gait. Maimoon, with her dark complexion, elongated face and long neck, was walking in much the same way, a camel's walk, as it were. She scraped her foot lazily along the ground as she walked. A cloth covered her head completely, came down over her breasts, and disappeared behind her back. It made you curious to know what her hair looked like. An empty water pot, made of wild reed and bark woven tightly together, was slung over her back. She had tied it to her back the way schoolchildren carry their school bags. It stayed close to her back and was her only travel companion. Maimoun walked 8 miles to fetch water, 16 miles up and down daily. She did it as part of her daily routine, like an animal that went out to graze. She had deliberately come a little late that day. All her friends were already gone. The path was covered with acacia thorn trees, man-high cacti, and short bushes, but Maimoun found her way deftly through that pathless wasteland. As usual, the cry of the hyena had woken her up early in the morning. Her house was built of clay, thin tree stumps, and a thatched roof. It was powerless against the cold. She loved to spend those early morning hours curled up on the camel hair mat, eyes shut tightly. If a hyena was her first enemy, her mother was the second. She kept up her cry like a wounded animal until Maimoun woke up. Nothing could be crueler than spoiling the bliss of sleeping in the early mornings, Maimoun thought. Walking those miles daily to fetch water was a painful chore. Her mother did not realize how difficult it was. It upset her deeply. Maimoun's father, Nur, was the village chief, the Nabadoon. He had goats, cows, camels, and several donkeys to carry loads. The animals were taken to the grazing lands before dawn. If he had sent a donkey out to bring back pots of water, Maimoun could have escaped the painful duty. That was how water was fetched in Salma's house. Maimoun's mother, on her part, had, on many occasions, pleaded with her father to send the donkey on this mission. Maimoun's father religiously forgot to do it. He knew what duties women should perform. He had 2 wives, and his grazing land had an area that was 50 miles around. When the animals were taken to the other end of his land to graze, he moved there to live with his second wife. This way, he disappeared for at least 3 months in a year. In the afternoon, Nur arrived at the acacia tree where his friends waited. There they all sat, chewing ghat that relaxed them after a hard day's work. As the juice gradually sunk into them, they began to soar higher and higher. Those afternoon hours saw all Somalian men in a state of stupor, and the chewing continued until they retired to bed at night. With their hands and legs spread out, completely at ease, they lingered in that fantasy land, breathing in, breathing out. It was on one such evening that the NGO delegation arrived in their village. Nur and the other village elders were in a high state of abandonment already. The officials were doing the rounds of the villages to inquire as to how they could improve the living conditions around them. Some villagers elsewhere had wanted water wells to be dug for them. Some asked for canals, and some others for pump sets. When they came to Nur's village, the women pleaded for a bore well, but the village elders wanted a mosque to be built, and an agreement could not be reached. Nur spoke decidedly on behalf of his people. "You build the mosque. Allah will provide the rest." That was how the officials decided on the next village. They cleaned and repaired the well, which was in a state of disrepair, and also deepened it. After that, there was water in that well for a whole year, and it was to that place that Maimoun and her friends went every day, walking 8 miles one way to fetch water. The sun was coming up fast, and Maimoun stepped into a familiar shortcut. Wherever her eyes fell, she saw ghat being cultivated. The plants had grown thorny and healthy, and thorn fences had been erected to prevent cattle and goats from grazing on them. If the goats were to eat them, the doped animals would run helter-skelter, causing chaos all around. A camel was lying on the path with its forelegs folded in, as if kneeling in prayer. Its neck stood straight, floating high in the air, unmoving. She stood in front of it, as if for the first time, looking at it, fascinated. An almost invisible ball was climbing up its neck, like a flowing river. It was a she-camel. The tip of its left ear had been clipped, which meant she had borne 10 calves and had been given a rest. The imposing animal evoked a sort of reverence in her. She bowed before the animal, yielding to the urge to do so. When she passed by the currah tree, her heart always beat a little faster. It was large and gave plenty of shade. It had grown so high that it was out of the reach of the camel's thick lips. For a long time, the skeletons of a mother and a child had been lying there. The mother's skeleton had been missing for some time now, but the child's was still around. All the villagers knew the story of those skeletons. The water holes had all dried up during a severe drought about 4 years ago. This mother, with her baby in her arms, had wandered high and low, looking for water. She had heard of a well some 10 miles away. When they reached the place, hoping to see some sign of water, they found that the well was dry. Helpless, they went back the way they came. Thoroughly exhausted, they rested under the currah tree. No one knew who died first. It could have been the baby. The mother might then have wept herself to death. Or it might have been the mother first, and then the baby. Maybe the child had tugged at its mother over and over before dying of hunger. Maimoun came closer to take a look at the skeleton. It was not clear whether it was a male or female child. A small piece of cloth that could have fitted into the palm of a hand was stuck to the tiny skeleton. Traces of a floral design could be seen on the cloth. It was a girl, perhaps. The past few days, she had wanted to be alone. That was why she had let Amina go ahead of her. She had many things to think and wonder about. A great deal of her mental space had been taken over by Al-Salah. His face flashed up quite often before her mind's eye. It was a new experience for the 15-year-old. The name Maimoun meant one who had conquered, and there she was, walking all by herself, intent on conquering her future. However, unknown to her, at that very moment, her father was engaged in a plan that was to determine what exactly she was to conquer. It was a bright, shiny day. There was a herd of camel in the distance. Al-Salah was coming toward her, wearing a turban made of white cloth and a staff to shepherd the camels with. He had taken the rope off the camel's neck and slung it around his shoulder. He was walking slowly in front of the camel. The camel's long neck and head were bobbing up and down. It was a beautiful sight. In Somalia, the men walked either in front of or behind the camels. True to that practice, Al-Salah was walking very respectfully in front of his camel. Maimoun could see his face. He had shy eyes, an undecided beard, and a face on the verge of saying something. He was very thin. When he came close to her, she stopped walking and stared at him. Her heart started to beat a little faster. His was an understanding camel. It halted without intruding into their conversation. It stood there with its legs spread wide and neck held straight, as if it wouldn't mind standing there for 100 years. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum salam. May there be peace. May there be peace. I see you. I see you. Any news? Lots. You're late today. Can I help it? The sun woke up late. Didn't you notice it? Yes. The sun is getting lazy too, like you. I'm not lazy. Look how far I have to go. I carry a whole load of water. Do you think I amble along sweeping my arms in front of a camel like you? She spoke, looking straight into his face. She leaned a little with her weight on one leg and hooked her right arm on her hip. The other hand was gracefully holding her veil. She looked at something in the herd and was startled. Her eyes showed a new kind of pity. You've tied up the camel kid once again. A young camel from that herd often ran away. There was a knot tying its forelegs together, leaving a small gap in between, so it could walk but not run. The baby camel was lifting and dropping its legs with soft thuds and having difficulty keeping up with the rest of the herd. No choice. It's a naughty kid. It keeps running away all the time. I don't have the time to be watching it. I need some assistance. You come. Be my help. That can wait. Untie the knot now. She pouted and commanded. Alasala's heart softened. He made a sign as if to say, I'm doing this for you, and untied the rope. The kid shook its legs about and expressed its joy. When Maimoun was a young girl, she roamed around with the camel herds. When they loaded the camels back, they sang a song for each load, songs to deceive the camels, songs that only girls of her age sang. Camel, oh camel, my dear camel, just carry this one log for me. I'll give you a bundle of grass. Camel, oh camel, my dear camel, just carry my bedroll for me. I'll rub your back for you. Camel, oh camel, my dear camel, just carry my prince for me. I'll give you a hug and kiss. The last stanza was her own. She often sang the song and the last lines loudly when she was by herself. It sounded sweet to her ears. Alasala belonged to a different tribe. However, if he came to ask for her hand, her father would agree to the alliance. He believed intermarriage would destroy the enmity between the tribes and promote amity. Alasala's name was often mentioned in her house. The only grievance they had was that the boys' people were bird-eaters, whereas in their tribe they didn't eat any kind of bird. Yet, to be sure, there might not be any hitch if Alasala came to seek her hand with a bride price of 20 camels. There was quite a crowd of women at the wellhead. The place was green with trees. It felt as cool as a cultivated grove. Her friend Amina was standing by the platform next to the well. Her arm was placed on her thigh. She was gracefully swinging her other leg. Maimoun removed her veil. She had attractive hair. She ruffled it with her hand and let out the air trapped in it. She splashed water on her face and drank her fill. Her eyes brightened. The two friends turned their faces away from each other. They did not speak a word. Amina, nevertheless, helped to swing the water pot on her friend's back. They set out. Maimoun felt that some water was leaking from her pot. She said to herself she should remember to rub some alusu tree gum over the pot the next day. 2 golden foxes, alert and hungry-looking, ran past them, sniffing the ground. A yellow sparrow cried, Oik! Oik! Maimoun suddenly felt she needed to relieve herself. She wriggled and looked at Amina through the corner of her eye. Her friend understood her body signals and nodded. They slowly put their water pots on the ground. Taking 2 stones and making a noise by hitting them together, Maimoun moved to a place behind the bushes. Within a few moments of Maimoun squatting, her urine gushed out. It reached the earth, hissing like a snake. Maimoun felt a great relief, as if a load had been taken off her. The question whether she should start loving Alasala seriously or not came up for a moment and then vanished. Your man was there, hovering around. Saying those words, Amina broke the tension between them, and the 2 friends began their chatter. A natural closeness had developed between them. Amina, being a little older, began her usual advice. Don't pin all your hopes on him. He doesn't have the means to bring you mahar. Look for someone else. If you wait for this man to come asking for your hand, you will go on to be more than 40. How will you ever bear a child after that? Never mind bearing children. I do more work than a camel every day, and he calls me an idler. Maimoun's mother had borne 11 children in 20 years. Even camels, marked with clipped ears, were set free and allowed to rest after they yielded 10 calves. Only women did not have that privilege. They had to bear children until they died. Maimoun smiled a dark smile without parting her lips. Amina, my dear friend, do you know what I plan to do? I can't be enslaved all that easily. She went close to her friend and whispered something in her ear. They joined together in hearty laughter, satisfied they had hatched a secret plot. They laughed until tears came to their eyes. They laughed until the water splashed out of their pots. They laughed all the way back home. There were umpteen chores to do, Maimoun thought as she put the water pot on the floor. Her mother had, as usual, gone to the market. She had to gather wood from the bush and cook the evening meal, then take what was left of the camel's milk to the market. Finishing her cooking in no time, she put the corn in the milk and boiled it. It boiled with a sweet scent, raising hopes of a delicious treat. She took out a gourd pot. The camel was waiting patiently for her. She stood on her left leg, folded the right leg, and placed it firmly on her left knee, making a triangle. The pot was set between her strong right thigh and slender stomach. It fitted perfectly into its niche. She began to milk the camel. The warm milk went straight into the pot. She hurried to the market, licking the elbow over which the milk had spilled. She could go to bed after the village sounds had all died down. The mere thought of the next morning frightened her, for the hyena and her mother would be there working against her. They would wake her up before daybreak. She did not know what it meant to sleep to one's heart's content. What would she not give for a spell of early morning sleep? Even as these thoughts went through her head, her eyelashes touched each other, and she slipped into a deep sleep. True to her prayers, her daybreak miseries came to an end the following day. The hyena did not trouble her. Her mother had also become silent. Only the voices of shepherds were heard from afar. She had never seen such a beautiful dawn. Even as dawn was breaking, a big crowd from the neighboring village was arriving. Noor and the other elders of her village were gathered at the entrance to their village. As was their custom, they carried uprooted maize plants and welcomed their guests, waving the plants back and forth. It looked as if a whole army was coming. The crowd was there to ask for Maimoun's hand in marriage. Their village was a day's journey away. Their leader was the Nabadoon of that village, 50 years old. He had agreed to take Maimoun as his third wife. He had consented to give 50 camels. The whole village had gathered to witness the wondrous event. Maimoun's mother refused the offer outright. If her daughter went that far away, she would not be able to see her. She hoped Alasala would come asking for her daughter's hand. She intuitively knew how much Maimoun loved the boy. Nur was not under the influence of Ghat. He was a God-fearing man. Reconsidering the offer, he hesitated, wondering if he should sell his daughter for 50 camels. Mother and father approached their daughter. In very simple words, they sought her opinion. Maimoun always had a few surprises up her sleeve. She unconditionally accepted the proposal. In fact, she was very keen. They were surprised beyond words. Immediately after the wedding, Maimoun set out for her husband's house. The camels and donkeys were ready for the journey. Her bosom friend, Amina, arrived at that very moment. She remembered how Maimoun had spoken secretly to her and how they had laughed all the way home. She had meant what she had said then, damn her, Amina thought. I'm going to marry a 50-year-old man. I'll be his third wife. He must be someone addicted to Ghat. In his stupor, he won't come near me very much. I may escape with 2 children at the most. She laughed loudly after whispering those words. Amina thought it was a joke then, but now it did not seem to be so. That was what Maimoun had truly wanted. There was another reason as well, that Amina was not aware of. When it was time to go, Maimoun began to cry, and no one knew the reason. She hugged her mother tightly and sobbed, "Huya! Huya!" "Cursed girl, why are you crying now? Speak out. You wanted this marriage, and that's why we agreed to send you to that small village, which is a whole day's journey away. You could have stayed here like a queen. Damn you, crying now." Maimoun could not stop crying. She spoke through her sobs. "You want the truth, Huya?" "Foolish girl, speak, though it is too late." "Huya, they say that water just pours out in plenty there, in that village. It never dries up, all through the seasons, and I can sleep peacefully in the mornings. I won't have to walk 16 miles every day anymore." With those words, Maimoun looked at her mother's face in despair. Then she started to cry all over again. Maimoun's father was shocked at first, but he consoled himself gradually with the thought, "It's just a day's journey. I can go and see her often." Little did he know then that it was the last time he would see his daughter. His wife would die soon, and he would be spending his remaining days at the mercy of others, his health ruined by Ghat, and his mind totally gone. He would remember Maimoun now and then, recollect how she used to sit on a rock under the acacia tree in her own private world, nobody noticing her, how she combed her hair, looking at a broken mirror, and how she hummed the childish songs she had composed on her own. That was how his days would pass. "Camel, oh camel, my dear camel, just carry my prince for me. I'll give you a hug and a kiss." Her love for Alasala. She had thrown it all away in just a flashing moment. How she must have hated those early morning hours. Perhaps Maimoun could have married Alasala and stayed on in their village if he had requested a well when the NGO team asked him what they wanted. All those thoughts would torment him over and over in the years to come. At the hour of my moon's departure, however, he did not know any of this.